When an angel allies with the devil's son to bring chaos to the world, a paranormal detective and his team must use a ritual to go to hell to stop it from happening. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, Constantine, from 2005. In the ruins of a church in Mexico, two friends are exploring the site until one of them, Manuel, steps into a hole in the ground. Inside, he finds a mysterious artifact, similar to the tip of a spear. This artifact is the Spear of Destiny, the same one that pierced Christ's body during the crucifixion and which was missing. When he comes into contact with it, Manuel starts acting strangely and leaves. His friend calls out to him, but seconds later Manuel is hit by a car on the road. However, a strange mark appears on the guy's arm, and he gets up from the hood of the car and walks away, as if nothing had happened. Far away, in a humble neighborhood in Los Angeles, a mother prepares tea for her daughter. But when she gets to her room, the woman is startled to see the girl hanging from the ceiling with an evil expression on her face. Minutes later, a cab pulls up outside and inside is John Constantine, an infamous exorcist who uses his expertise in the occult to fight creatures of darkness. He learns of the case of possession from his friend, Father Hennessy, who was unable to get the demon out of the girl. John then goes down the corridor until he finds the young woman, who is tied by her hands and legs to the bed. The exorcist then pulls back the curtain on the window and lets the sunlight illuminate a mysterious medallion he is carrying. He then goes to the girl's bed and provokes the entity into revealing itself. The evil being manifests itself, but Constantine uses the medallion on the young woman's face, which begins to burn her skin. Suddenly, the girl falls unconscious, but the entity reappears around her neck and John punches it away. Seeing that the demon is stronger than he thought, John asks the residents for a mirror and asks them to put it up on the bed. Finally, he tells everyone to keep their eyes closed, as he is about to begin the exorcism ritual. However, one of the residents disobeys and a strange curse hits him, turning his hair and beard gray. Because of this, John gets distracted and the demon tries to attack him, but he manages to finish the ritual and the creature is trapped inside the mirror. The demon tries to break the glass, but before it does, John throws the mirror out of the window, which shatters on top of the parked cab. Thanks to this, the creature is sent back to hell and the young woman is finally free from possession. After this exorcism, John says goodbye to Father Hennessy, but first he asks him to stop wearing his protective amulet for a few days. The reason is so that Hennessy can get in touch with the occult world and find out why the demon has possessed the girl. Even though he is aware of the risks, the priest accepts and decides to investigate. After the conversation, John returns to the cab and is reprimanded by Chaz, his driver and assistant, for having thrown the mirror on top of his car. Meanwhile, in a nearby church, Detective Angela Dodson goes to confession after taking the life of a criminal. She then returns home and goes to sleep, but her sleep is tormented by a strange nightmare. In it, a woman identical to Angela is in a hospital room, but soon escapes and goes to the top of the building. Without hesitation, the young woman takes her own life by jumping from the hospital into the swimming pool. In another part of the city, John is at home, but begins to have a coughing fit that causes him to release blood. The next day, he goes to hospital and discovers that he has terminal lung cancer as a result of his addiction to cigarettes. In that same hospital, Angela goes to answer a call and is horrified to see that her nightmare was real. She finds the body of her twin sister, Isabel, and the investigators claim that she jumped from the building, but the detective refuses to believe them. Hours later, John returns home and is visited by his friend, Beeman. He brings weapons that the exorcist ordered, such as the noisy Amityville beetle, vials of holy water to fight demons and dragon's breath, which shoots bursts of fire. Beeman asks what the need is for this weaponry and Constantine reveals that in his last exorcism, a demon tried to enter the human world. John then asks Beeman to research similar cases, as he fears something strange is going on. Afterwards, Constantine goes to a parish to meet the half-breed angel, Gabriel, so that he can ask God to cure him of his cancer. By coincidence, Angela also goes there to talk to Father David, because she wants to give Isabel a Catholic burial. Unfortunately, they are both denied. According to the priest, Isabel can't have a traditional burial because she performed such an act against her own life, while Gabriel tells Constantine that his selfish and skeptical personality doesn't make him worthy of God's graces. The two leave the parish dejected and Angela waits for the rain to pass, but Constantine is so frustrated that he leaves anyway. In another part of the city, Father Hennessy uses his power to investigate cases related to the previous exorcism. After going through several newspaper articles, he finds one about Isabel's perishment in hospital. Angela also investigates what happened to her sister and watches the security camera recording the fall. However, when reviewing the video, Isabel suddenly looks towards the camera and says Constantine, the same name as the exorcist Angela saw in the parish. On the streets of the city, John continues to walk in the rain until he suffers another coughing fit. To make matters worse, a mysterious man approaches him and reveals that he is a demonic spirit, materialized by hundreds of insects. The creature knocks John down and tries to attack him, but the exorcist takes the demon and uses its noise to stun the monster. Thanks to this, Constantine manages to flee towards the road, but the entity materializes in front of him, blocking the way. Luckily, a car hits the demon shortly afterwards, spreading its insects all over the place. After this strange event, John goes to get information at Papa Midnight's bar, a place where angels and demons live together in secret. When he meets the owner, he explains about these events and believes that the demons are planning something. However, Midnight reinforces that demons cannot cross the earthly plane, due to the non-interference agreement made between God and the devil. John tries to argue, but seconds later, the half-demon Balthazar appears and taunts the exorcist, saying that his soul will soon go to hell. John prepares to put an end to the creature, but Midnight stops him, as his bar is a neutral place. Constantine is not happy about this, but is forced to leave the bar when he has another coughing fit. He goes back to his apartment and, shortly afterwards, receives a visit from Angela, who asks for his help in investigating Isabel's case. However, he refuses and even makes fun of her story, which makes Angela uncomfortable. She leaves, but soon after, dozens of figures come through the window of the house and go after the detective. Constantine sets off to see what's going on and finds Angela, returning to her car. Suddenly, the street lights start to go out mysteriously and the sound of wings is heard everywhere. John pulls Angela to safety and removes one of his relics from his pocket, a piece of the robe worn by Moses. The exorcist then sets fire to it with his lighter and a powerful light is emitted, revealing the demons that surrounded him and then destroying them all. After that, the city lights come back on and Constantine says that the demons were after Angela. He believes that this attack has something to do with Isabel's perishment and that to prove it, he'll have to go to hell in search of her soul. Shortly afterwards, the two go to Angela's apartment and Constantine asks the detective for a pot of water, her cat and to leave the apartment. Even though she's suspicious, she accepts and then, while she waits outside, time on Earth stops. This is the effect of being transported to another plane and John finally makes it to hell. There, he encounters a destroyed and hopeless version of the human world, where there is only pain and suffering. After much searching, John finally finds Isabel, reliving the day she lost her life. The young woman takes her tag from the hospital, throws it in the air and then jumps off the building again. Seeing this, John runs to get the tag, while demons sense his presence and chase him. Finally, he leaps towards the tag and grabs it in midair, but before the demons catch him, he uses a vial of holy water to return to Earth. With that, time returns to normal and Angela sees Constantine, burned and holding the tag that belonged to Isabel, revealing that her soul has been condemned. Meanwhile, Father Hennessy goes to the morgue in search of Isabel's body. When he finds her, he uses his skills to find out what happened, but as he does so, a strange mark appears on the young woman's arm. What's more, the priest starts to hear voices in his mind, which completely unsettle him. To drive them away, he tries to drink from his flask, but the liquid gets stuck in the container. Desperate, Father Hennessy runs to a liquor store, but all the bottles have the same effect. After several attempts, he starts to feel sick and falls to the ground. Fearing that his end is near, he decides to leave a warning for John. As his last act, he takes a bottle opener and pierces his hand, drawing the mark he found on Isabel. Finally, the priest starts spewing drink out of his mouth, revealing that it was all just an illusion. In fact, the priest was drowning and ended up dying, while nearby Balthazar appears, watching everything with a satisfied look. Unaware of this tragedy, John takes Angela to a diner and explains where his powers come from. As a child, he was able to see half-breeds, both those with demonic powers and those with an angelic touch. After years of being tormented by visions, John decided to end his own life. However, he survived, but because of his act, from that day on, his soul is condemned to go to hell and he searches for a way to stop it. In the middle of the conversation, Angela receives a call about the perishment of Father Hennessy. John accompanies her there and looks on distraught for his friend, who perished trying to help him. Then he notices the wound on the priest's hand, which is in the shape of a cross around a circle. The next morning, John asks Beeman to find out what the symbol means, while he goes with Angela to Isabel's room in search of clues. There, she says that her sister had paranormal powers and that's why her parents had her committed to a sanatorium. When Constantine hears this, he tells her that Angela also has this power, because they are twins, but she denies it. The exorcist gets angry and tries to force her to tell the truth, but Angela gets nervous and runs to the window. Finally, she admits that she also had the power of sight and that she and her sister used to leave written messages on the window. Then, with her breath, she discovers the inscriptions made by Isabel on the glass, and John notices the mention of Book 17 of Corinthians. This book only exists in the Bible created in hell, and John passes this information on by telephone to Beeman, who has a copy of the book. Reading the passage, Beeman discovers that Satan's son, Mammon, intends to cross hell and come to the human world. To do so, he needs an individual with paranormal powers and an artifact with divine power. He continues to read the passage, but strange noises are heard in his hiding place. In addition, Beeman begins to feel a strong discomfort in his body, and suddenly, a fly comes out of his eyelids. Realizing that his friend is in danger, Constantine sets off with Angela, but unfortunately it's too late. He finds the body of Beeman, who has suffocated from insects that have mysteriously crawled out of his body. Far away, Manuel still has the Spear of Destiny and approaches a man in his car. He knocks the guy out and steals his vehicle, then hits the road for Los Angeles. Meanwhile, John returns to his apartment, still shaken by Beeman's perishment. Angela tries to comfort him, but the exorcist tells her to leave, because if she stays around, she could suffer the same fate as his friends. However, she says she needs his help to find out who is behind her sister's elimination. To do this, she wants to embrace her paranormal gift once again, and John says that this is possible if she crosses the plane between the human world and the occult world. She agrees to do it, and then the exorcist puts her in a bathtub full of water. The ritual is the same as the one John used to go to hell, but she must be completely submerged so that she can return quickly. Angela goes ahead and lies down in the bathtub, but she starts to drown and tries to get out. To complete the ritual, John stops her and she tries to resist, until finally, the ritual works and Angela goes back and forth from hell, thus recovering her abilities. With her gift of sight, she rushes to Beeman's hideout and looks for a clue as to who caused his elimination. The detective finds a coin on the ground, and John soon recognizes that it belongs to Balthazar. For the exorcist, the matter has become personal, and he collects the relics from Beeman's room to create a holy weapon. After that, the two go to Balthazar's office, but John decides to go to him alone, while leaving Angela in the car with Father Hennessy's amulet. A few minutes later, Balthazar is standing in front of the mirror in the room. Only on the other side, John fires a shot from his gun and throws the half-breed away. He then throws a vial of holy water in his face, revealing his demonic nature. However, Balthazar fights back and pushes Constantine against the wall and begins to attack him. At that moment, the exorcist takes out a brass knuckles from his pocket, with divine crosses on the ends, and strikes several blows at the half-breed, who falls towards the table. Finally, John orders Balthazar to reveal how Mammon intends to cross hell, but the man refuses. Then, as a final punishment, Constantine takes his Bible and begins a prayer to purify the creature and thus be welcomed into heaven. Balthazar despairs and reveals that Mammon will come with the help of God's blood, which is contained in the Spear of Destiny. Constantine thanks him for the information, but before he goes, he mocks the half-demon for thinking he would be forgiven, without having asked for absolution beforehand. Despite the provocation, Balthazar laughs when he sees Angela appear in the room and tells her that she was the last piece to bring Mammon back. However, he doesn't have time to celebrate, as John eliminates him for good with one shot from his gun. With the creature defeated, the two flee the scene, but Constantine realizes that Angela is without her amulet. In an oversight, she left it inside the car, thus becoming susceptible to a mysterious force that, in a matter of seconds, pulls her out of the building. Constantine tries to reach her, but it's no use and Angela is taken away. With no other choice, John, together with Chaz, breaks into Papa Midnight's bar, and when he finds him, the exorcist points his gun at him and demands that he help him save Angela. Midnight refuses, because he wants to remain neutral in matters between heaven and hell, but Constantine threatens him again. Midnight becomes enraged and uses his telekinesis to push John against the wall and begins to attack him. Despite his pain, Constantine reminds Midnight that Hennessy and Beeman were also his friends, but fell victim to Mammon's plans. This causes Midnight to have a crisis of conscience, and he finally decides to help his old friend. To do this, Midnight takes Constantine to the chair, which was used to eliminate prisoners and was imbued with magic by the souls of the victims. The exorcist sits in it, and then Midnight dips his feet in and electrocutes him, taking John through space and time. With the power of the chair, John finds out about Manuel and the Spear of Destiny. The problem is that the guy has already arrived in Los Angeles and is, along with other half-breeds, in the hospital where Isabel perished. Suddenly, Manuel feels he's being watched and manages to grab Constantine's neck, but Midnight saves him at the last minute. With the truth revealed, the exorcist decides to go to the hospital, along with Chaz, who who prepares all the weaponry and asks Midnight for a crucifix. Afterwards, the two go to the hospital, where a few moments later, Angela is thrown into the pool. She gets up frightened and then Manuel appears and advances towards her. Angela quickly pulls out her pistol and fires several shots, but the bullets pass through the guy's body without harming him. The detective tries to escape, but Manuel grabs her and starts dunking her in the pool. Minutes later, John and Chaz arrive at the scene and go their separate ways. The man goes to the hospital reservoir and pours the crucifix into the water, while Constantine goes to the room where the half-breeds are. Seeing that there are too many of them, John lights his lighter and activates the fire system. What the half-demons didn't expect was to be bathed in holy water, thanks to Chaz's crucifix. The skin of the half-breeds begins to burn and Constantine takes the opportunity to eliminate each one of them with his sacred weapon. Just then, Manuel continues to drown Angela in the pool, until she is sent to hell, where Mammon awaits her. Meanwhile, Constantine destroys all the half-demons with the help of Chaz and the two of them go to the pool. When he enters the water, he finds Manuel's body, lifeless, and seconds later, Angela appears, possessed by Mammon. The exorcist tries to free her, but the detective starts to drown him in the pool. Luckily, Chaz goes over, pulls Angela and Constantine out of the water, and the two begin the ritual to get Mammon out of her. After much effort, Angela is saved by the pair and Constantine congratulates Chaz on his efforts. Unfortunately, the man is pulled by a supernatural force, which pushes him violently against the ceiling and floor, over and over again. John tries to help him, but Chaz's injuries are too severe and he becomes another victim. Constantine's rage reaches its limit and he invokes yet another spell, using the runes drawn on his arms to reveal who is behind it all. To his surprise, the angel Gabriel appears and tramples on the exorcist, knocking him to the ground. Constantine asks why he has done this and the angel says that he intends to bring Mammon and create hell on earth, so that humans learn, through suffering, the true value of faith in God. After this revelation, Gabriel throws John against a glass door, brings Mammon back to Angela's body and prepares to free him with the spear. With no strength left to prevent this, Constantine does the unthinkable and uses a piece of glass to injure himself. In doing so, time freezes and John is visited by his greatest enemy, none other than Lucifer. The demon has come to meet Constantine in person, because from the beginning, he wanted to take his soul. Even so, he questions John for trying to end his life once again and suspects that this is another trick of the exorcist. However, John says that he did it to warn Satan that his son is trying to come into this world, with Gabriel's help. Lucifer doesn't believe it, but decides to clear up the story and goes to the pool room, where he finds Gabriel, about to thrust the spear into Angela's body. Seeing that Constantine has told the truth, the demon pulls the detective away and time returns to normal. Gabriel is startled to see Lucifer standing in front of him and the demon tells him that he will not allow his son to come because he knows he wants to take his power. He then sends Mammon back to hell and Gabriel tries to stop him, but the angel realizes that he has no powers. Because of his evil deeds, Gabriel has been rejected by God and Lucifer takes this opportunity to burn the angel's wings and push him into the pool. After resolving this matter, the villain returns to Constantine and says it's time to take him away. The exorcist accepts his fate, but makes one last request, that Isabel's soul be saved and sent to paradise. Lucifer mocks John for this, but decides to grant his wish and finally starts dragging his body towards hell. However, a strange force pulls John back and soon after, a light is emitted in front of them. Lucifer looks a closer look and sees in front of him the vision of his former home, paradise. In addition, Constantine begins to be pulled towards the heavens and Lucifer understands that John's act of sacrifice has made his sins forgiven. As a final provocation, the exorcist shows Satan himself the middle finger, but the villain doesn't intend to let his favorite soul go. He then sticks his hands into Constantine's body and removes his cancer. Because of this, John has one more chance to live, to prove that his true place is in hell. The demon returns to his lair and, moments later, John and Angela awaken. After everything they've been through, they leave, but are surprised to see Gabriel rise from the pool, now a human. He provokes John, handing him his gun so that the exorcist surrenders to his desire for revenge. Instead, Constantine punches him in the face, so that Gabriel knows the meaning of pain. Days pass and John meets Angela again on top of a building. The two say goodbye, but before they go their separate ways, John gives her the Spear of Destiny for safekeeping. In the end, Constantine wonders if everything he's been through was really God's plan for him. Despite his doubts, he's been given a second chance that he can't afford to waste and his first act is to swap the addiction that almost took his life for a piece of chewing gum. Later, John goes to the cemetery and pays his last respects to Chaz, leaving his lighter on the grave. After that, he goes on his way, but when he looks back, he is surprised to see his friend transformed into an angel and flying towards the heavens. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.